Hi, I'm Mark Gaylor. I'm a Sony Imaging Ambassador, and I'd like to take a look at Sony's new Alpha 7C camera. Now, it's their full frame compact, and I do stress on the word compact because this is the raison d'etre of this particular camera. Now, as well as releasing the compact camera, they've also released a new kit lens, and that kit lens does reduce the form factor significantly when combined with the reduced form factor of the body. We can quite quickly see that the form factor is reduced primarily because the electronic viewfinder that used to sit in the middle of the camera has now been moved to the left hand side. Now, some people will prefer this because the nose won't be touching the touch screen, and so we won't get that focus point moving, which some people have an issue with. The finder is a little bit smaller, but the form factor obviously is smaller too. If we take a look at an A7 III camera with the older kit lens, the 2870, we can quite clearly see that benefit of that form factor using the new kit lens. So as you can see, this is significantly smaller, and I'd have to say that if we're comparing size, we could actually start comparing it with their smaller APS-C cameras, such as the Alpha 6600 camera. Now, in reducing the form factor, Sony haven't decided to use the old W series battery, which is a good idea because that would have been a mistake in my opinion. Obviously, using the Z series battery, which also the Alpha 6600 does, we've managed to enable users to shoot stills perhaps all day without a single change of a battery. If you're shooting a lot of movies, you'd probably still be advised to take a spare battery with you. Now, of course, I haven't shot with the A7C yet, but it's basically the same sensor as the Alpha 7 III camera. And so we got that ability to shoot fast action sports. We got the ability to shoot with the wide aperture lens and enjoy that full frame bokeh that people with the APS-C sensors may struggle a little bit more to achieve. But we do have some benefits with this camera. Even though it's the A7 III sensor, we are taking the benefits of the new AF systems that were started being rolled out on cameras released in 2019, and that includes the real-time tracking and touch tracking. If you are having to shoot things that move quite a lot, you will notice the benefit with the AF systems. It's a lot stickier when locking onto a subject. It does replace the old lock-on AF systems. This touch tracking uses additional algorithms to help you stay with the subject, and it's a remarkably good feature. It puts the AF of these cameras without comparison. Basically, there's only one camera that will have improved tracking over the Alpha 7C, and that are the Alpha 9 cameras. If you're looking at this camera to shoot movies primarily, you are going to see some advantages over the Alpha 7 III camera. We have the digital audio recording that we first saw on the A7R4 camera. Now, we do have access to the Sony's digital microphone, and it's a completely digital signal, so a lot cleaner. We have IAF in 4K. We have touch tracking. Basically, we can go into the menus and set the function of touch operation to touch focus, to pull focus between different subjects, or we can switch it to touch tracking and just touch on our subject to follow that subject around, and it's vastly superior to the old lock-on or center lock-on AF. We also have the A sensitivity and transition speed control that we also saw appear on the Alpha 7S III camera. Now, there is no 4K 60 frames per second, there is no 10-bit movie recording, and we don't see the touch menus that we saw released on the A7S III camera. So this might deter some people or encourage them to wait to see what appears on the A7 IV camera. But if you're interested in that compact camera, then we're just going to take a look over some of the features of what has been added and what has been taken away in this smaller form factor. There are now 3 memories on the shoot mode dial on the top of the camera instead of 2, and we do have a newly configured movie button for easy access. What you will see is missing, however, in the simpler layout, we have sacrificed 3 of the custom keys, 2 on top and 1 on the upper left hand side of the camera, because now the finder has appeared there. We've also lost the multi-selector and the front dial off the grip, and we also have lost the dual card slots of the Alpha 7 III camera. So there has been some sacrifice. Now, a lot of photographers don't actually use a lot of the custom keys or the multi-selector, so this isn't going to put them off. But if you are a big user of, say, C1, C2 keys and the multi-selector, this also may make you want to wait for the A7 IV. Remember, this isn't the A7 IV, this is the Alpha 7C, and it's all about the compact nature. So if we take a look on the left side of the camera, we'll see the card slot has been moved over to the left hand side. It's quite a good layout, as you can see, given the small form factor. We do have the mic in and the headphone jacks, and we have the USB-C port, and we have the UHS 2 card slot there. So we seem to have got a full configuration, even though we are now down to one card slot. A lot of people will really be attracted by the swing out monitor on this one, especially for people wanting to do a little bit of vlogging or movie recording, and so this is probably going to be will sway some people to move forward into this camera rather than choosing maybe the A7S III because of the higher price, or an A6600 with the flip up screen rather than the coming out to the side monitor. One of the things the small form factor will be attractive for me is I've often put on a belt clip, I've put on an Alpha 6600, but I've never thought to put the larger full frame cameras. But as you can see from this Sony photo here, the form factor is small enough to want to put that. This is attached to a Peak Design clip, which I also own. This camera is also going to be attractive for people who like the smaller Sony f1.8 primes. So that 20mm f1.8 is obviously going to be attractive to vloggers and to landscape photographers. And then we've got the 35 1.8, the 55 1.8 Zeiss lens, and the 85 1.8. They're all sharp, wide open, and they do keep the form factor down if you're going to work with these primes and the new compact camera. If you're wanting to go even smaller, just remember there is that 35mm 2.8 Zeiss lens, which is just over 4 ounces or 120 grams, and that is going to reduce the form factor even further. And that is a cracking lens, by the way. It is pin sharp, and if you get in reasonably close to your subject matter, you are going to get that figure ground separation and that beautiful bokeh, even though it's only got that 2.8 aperture. So it's going to be really attractive to photographers who probably want to work from messenger bags rather than backpacks, maybe with just another couple of primes in the bag. So this is going to be an attractive camera. Now, the price hasn't been set really low, so this is going to deter some people. It's not the bargain basement entry level. Making the camera compact obviously hasn't shaved off too much of the production value in this camera. So some people will still choose the A7 III over this camera, or wait for the Alpha 7 IV to be released, hopefully this year. But for street photographers, the small form factor is going to be exceptionally attractive. Now let's just take a quick overview before I sign off. So the camera body itself is over 20% lighter, but if you factor in the new kit lens, you're probably going to be hitting like 28% lighter in that kit. We have the side opening LCD, which is obviously a lot of people is going to see as an attractive feature. We have the new and improved AF tracking and IAF in 4K. But we don't have the multi-selector. The finder is a little bit smaller. We are down on custom keys, and we lose the front dial. Let's just go back a little bit, but we do have 3 memories on the shoot mode dial. We have IF in 4K movies, as I mentioned earlier, and we do have the touch tracking, which is going to be very attractive again for movie shooters. Okay, so that rounds up my preview. I'll come back with an extended review of this camera, and I'll probably also get around to writing a downloadable ebook for people who want to get to know this camera really well. So I'm Mark Gaylor, Sony Imaging Ambassador. Just follow me if you are wanting to see more of the movies. I tend to be specializing in educational movies for people who've already purchased a camera to help master all of the features of their new camera. Just also check me out on my website www.markgaylor.com. Cheers.